What's the trick to HubSpot harmony? Tune in now, don't miss your cue. We're going live and saving spots for you.
Hello.
I know it's adorable.
Hello, LinkedIn. I made that song yesterday. So Deanna is actually, well, I showed it to my husband last night who fell asleep during it and didn't respond. But
I appreciate it. It's amazing.
I was humming it this morning though, and I was like, it feels like a little like a children's song. I'm not mad about that though. It's like I could see.
Jingly.
Yeah. But hello, LinkedIn. Welcome to HubSpot Setup Secrets, what pros do first. I'm Casey, and this series is all about answering one deceptively tricky question. What do you actually do first when you get into a new HubSpot portal? I've asked a handful of HubSpot pros to come share their real life approaches because no two admins do it exactly the same. And I am here to learn right alongside you. Today, I have my friend Deanna here. Hello, welcome to the show. Before we jump in, Deanna, do you want to just give a little bit of background on you?
Sure. I'm Deanna Guiloff. Right now, I am head of growth at Supered. I started my journey like many of you, just using HubSpot, and it kind of got forced on me, and I didn't want to use it, and I bought it.
Accidental admin?
Yes, 100% accidental admin. I said, if you're going to make me use it, then I'm going to master it, and then you won't be able to take it away from me. So I did that and decided if I can do this for one company, I could probably do this for multiple, and just started consuming as much information as I could about HubSpot, going to trainings, anything at the time, way back in 2014. That wasn't a lot. So HubSpot Academy was just a itty bitty glimmer in HubSpot's eye. So I took everything in that I could and tried things out, clicked buttons, and decided I wanted to do that for myself and started my own agency. Did that for about a decade. And then I found the tool Supered, and I was like, wait a second, I can start taking everything I know and giving it to more people. So not just these companies that I get to work with, but the companies that those companies work with. So really taking like a partner for partners approach. And as a solutions partner, it was really easy to meet other partners because I was one, and I heard all their pain, heard that they just needed more help. So I said, wait a second, I can do that. And I can use it in a way that gives them even more. So I joined Supered, and now I'm here. I get to run the largest HubSpot admin hub in the world, which is amazing. I get to share that knowledge about HubSpot with other people. I get to bring on experts and bring them into that knowledge.
Yeah, you definitely provide a lot of value to the HubSpot community. So I think we're all very grateful. And I know I've said this to you already, but I also love what you're doing with Superid. I think it's making B2B marketing fun, which
Gotta have fun. Gotta have a little fun.
I think B2B marketing can sometimes be a little stuffy, you know? Sometimes
Boring. You can call it boring. It's okay. Most of it's boring.
It's boring. You know who you are. I know who I am.
I never said I was the fun one. I just get to have fun.
Yeah.
I get to create the fun and let other people do it.
Yeah, there you go. But yeah, I think it's awesome what you're doing there. And it definitely makes me think about how I can incorporate more fun into the things that I'm doing. So thank you.
Good start with having a jingle. I mean, why not?
Why not? There will be music to everything that I do.
As there should be.
All right. So I like to start these off by asking you first, why is the question, what do you do first in a HubSpot portal, so hard to answer? Why does everyone have a different answer?
Wow. Because it is a loaded question. Purpose, intent, what are you trying to get out of it? Like if you can answer that, it starts your journey differently for every single person.
Mhm,
And I think that is truly the hardest question to answer. So
mhm.
you get back to that, like it depends.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
And that's one of the reasons I'm excited to talk to you because you've worked in-house, you've worked in a consulting role, like you've done both.
Well,
And a lot of the people that I talk to are in more of a consulting role and an agency role just because they're people that go in and out of portals more frequently. But, I've had questions from my friends say like, "Sure, for a consultant, that makes sense, but what about for in-house?" So, either way, excited to hear your perspective on both
yeah,
sides of
I
which
all my perspectives.
all the perspectives.
How long do we got? 4 hours? We can
Yeah.
do 4 hours?
Yeah.
So I like to think of when I approach a new portal that I'm like an explorer and I get to discover things. When I approach an existing portal, I think of more of like a forensics approach, like what am I going to find under the rug and tucked in the back of the closet?
Mhm,
So I'm thinking slightly different when I approach either one.
mhm,
The new one's kind of easier,
mhm,
mostly because you can start with your intention up front and say, okay, this is what I want to do, and this is how I'm going to approach it. And you got a fresh, crisp, new portal to start with. It's when you're on the other side when you're like, okay, I got gifted this portal, and now it is my baby to make beautiful and gorgeous and go out into the world and achieve many things. So I prefer the messier version. I know that sounds so crazy. Like, why would you not want a brand new portal? Yeah, it's easier. Absolutely. I actually prefer the messier side of things because then I can say, all right, let me help you. And I start, well, when I used to do more consultancy, I would start with an interview, like just talking to the people who are using the system and trying to understand what they want. Like, what are your pains? What are the things you're trying to solve for? How are you going to use this in a way that's impactful and effective for you? And they don't know how to tie that and that pain to the tool. And that's perfectly fine. That's why there are consultants. That is why our jobs exist. So for me,
Please don't take my job away.
it will never go away because you'll always have people who don't know how to how to articulate what that problem and that pain is and how to solve it. And
Mhm,
that's great because that gives consultants a place in the world, but it also gives us a way to learn things better and faster and more efficiently. Um, because if you just knew how to use something right off the bat, like why would you need training? Why would you need to be able to level up? And why would products get any different? Because someone already they if they already knew everything, it would just be a one for one. Use this one tool
I
to do one thing.
Yeah, and I agree with you. I think when an established portal, is sometimes more interesting because,
Yeah,
also, the people already know how to use it or think they do.
true.
And, I find it I get more fulfillment when someone is using HubSpot but can't figure out how to clone a record, and then I'm like, "Hey, great news. You can now do that. That wasn't always a feature, but now you can, and here's how." That is a conversation I had this week.
Yeah.
Or, maybe it's something more simple, like, I really just wanna be able to send people a follow-up email after their form is submitted. I don't understand it. I'm like, "So you can, here." Um, great news. Um,
Great news.
the great news versus a lot of times when you're in a new portal, there's a lot of heavy expectations. Um, and so I feel like almost in an established portal, like people are like happier more quickly basically because you're able to like be like you can make even incremental changes too and
There's
go from there. Um,
absolutely. You can take it and give them a better experience of what they already have because they have something a baseline of what that is.
mhm. And a lot of times in new portals, there's some hesitation around even moving into HubSpot. So that can sometimes be a
Okay.
hurdle.
Yes, very true.
So the first thing you like to set up, people call them like reverse demos and things like that, and start asking.
Oh yeah. And not so much in the portal. Like my first engagement is always a conversation, and I
Mhm.
prefer either face to face or virtual video, because I want to see how they're reacting when they're talking to me, and it's about the person and the people using it more so than the tool itself. The tool is just a way to accomplish the thing that they want to do. And 99% of the time HubSpot can do that. So it's just validating that they pick the right tool at the end of the day, but making the connections for them. Okay, oh, you want to be able to say this team has access to this stuff and can do these things, but you know how to do that. Great. Let's set that up. Make a
Mhm.
note, get through what we're going to actually work together on, and then move forward. So really it's interview, and then I will go in and do an audit. Like get my hands dirty, see what's going on in there, and then make a list of, okay, this is what I see, and this is what I think you're trying to do, and this is what you told me you're trying to do. Now let's talk about it again. All right, I went in, this is what I saw. Show me how you're doing these things. So I think I pull that reverse audit. It's not really an audit anymore. It's more of a show. It's a show and tell. Show
Uh-huh.
me how you're doing it, and then let me help you elevate what you're doing.
Mhm.
So when they're clicking around and I'm like, why did you do it like that? Explain to me what you're thinking as you're clicking, because I want to know why you're doing something, not just that you've done it. Yes, you may get to the same end result, but if you have to do 15 clicks where you could have done 2, I want to help you be more optimized and more efficient in what you're doing. So show me.
Yeah. Yeah. So a lot of show and tell of those common points. And I'm guessing that the people that you're showing, it's going to vary. Like sometimes it is the person that originally reached out to you. I often find like I'm getting hired by leadership and not always the people in the tool. It can vary. But so sometimes you need to identify who's actually like using the tool too and figuring out that piece.
Absolutely. And that definitely is the case where leadership is like, we're paying thousands of dollars for this tool and I don't know what's getting out of it, is a different conversation than I'm trying to build a workflow that does these things and I don't know how to do it. Like very technical and very strategical. And you have to approach those differently when you're executing. So one may be, hey, okay, great. Love that. We're going to start at a very high level of what are you trying to accomplish versus how do I do the thing to accomplish the thing. So
Mhm.
know your audience, right? So right audience, right message, right time it applies not just to marketing, it applies to consultancy as well. Applies
Yeah.
to everything. Let's just be honest. It applies to everything. If you can master that trifecta when you're communicating with people, then you've nailed whatever you're doing.
Yeah, like, for example, maybe I shouldn't have shown my husband my new song while he was falling asleep in retrospect.
Exactly. You would have probably gotten better results if you had shown someone in your ecosystem that knew what it was or knew why you were creating it. Exactly. Exactly. I mean, I loved it. Target audience right here. So
Right person, right time.
exactly. It was perfect. So yeah, really when you're consulting and knowing that you're talking to leadership and that they're recognizing that pain, like why, the why did you hire me question,
Mhm.
really diving into that will give you completely different trajectory than the people that are actually using the tool. And that maybe you can get leadership to use the tool if you can
Mhm.
give them a reason and a why and a how.
Mhm. Yeah, because often they just whatever the problem is, a lot of times lack of trust of the tool, lack of understanding, anything like that, but
Exactly.
it's gonna those conversations definitely vary. I catch myself a lot of times getting too technical, and sometimes on calls, I will say, "Too technical. Let me shift." Like
Exactly. And that's okay. I mean, your passion's going to come through because you want to help them. I find that those moments where you get a little too technical, if you're truly coming from a place of passion and trying to help them solve their problem, it will create like intrigue, and they'll go, wait, what do you mean we can do whatever you just said? What do you mean we can actually put our brand guidelines into HubSpot and make our team actually use them properly? That's really cool.
Mhm.
That's not what I hired you for, but maybe we should add that to the list of things we can add on to the retainer or to the project. And that's a great way to upsell your services if you're selling individual services. So absolutely share your passion.
Yeah. So you said you have your engagements start with a conversation. You want to talk about what's going on. I mean, whether you're being hired in-house or you're being hired as a consultant, like there is a gap, there is a need. So obviously up first you want to kind of understand what that need is, who that need's coming from, whether that's leadership, whether that's on the ground, if you will. But then after that, you will do an audit of your own. How do you orient yourself when you're stepping into a portal that you've never seen before?
So I think I probably have the simplest flow of most people that I've heard. I start at the top. Just start at the top. What do they have turned on?
Mhm.
That is the easiest thing. Like if it's not turned on, then they're not using it, which means it's either not a priority or they don't know about it. Very easy buckets to stick stuff in. And I work my way through user settings. Like, do they have teams set up? And if so, who's on what team? Great. If I'm talking to Sally and Sally doesn't have marketing turned on, Sally can't send emails. Like very simple, top down. When the HubSpot menu changes, it totally impacts how I implement and how I audit. Because I started at the top, I working my way down.
So the fact that they've changed their navigation twice this year, you're like, all right, let's start over.
Then my muscle memory of go here, go here, go here, go here changes a little bit. So I do have to reorient my brain pattern to go, all right, now it's actually under this. And it's 3 levels in rather than 1. And by the way, it's not at the top, it's at the bottom now. And so, yeah. But at the same time, if you're not up to date with how the tool works in the moment for the people you're trying to create this, this whole package for, how are they going to be able to consume it? So if how you implement doesn't change and doesn't keep up with the way the tool is running at the time, you're going to create confusion. So to say your documentation or your training tools need to stay up to date would be a understatement. They have to. You can't train something from old documentation.
I think that's a good starting place, obviously looking at what's turned on. But mainly I'm thinking like sometimes people say, hey, we are having trouble with automation or something like that. But they're using, instead of workflows, they're using like those simple workflows on forms and stuff like that, which are good if you don't have access to workflows. But if you have access to workflows tend to be more sophisticated and it can probably solve some of the issues that they're having. But I know depending on the education level and how much stuff they've turned on, to your point, like, do they know that exists, or do they? Because it sounds crazy, but like a lot of people don't, because they go to fill out a form to create a form because that's what they need. They're like, I need a form. At the end of the form, there's that automation step.
Yep.
And they're like, send email. Yes, that is what I'd like.
Yeah, of course, that's what I'd like.
And then they're like, okay, but I also need to do this other thing, but I can't add that to this workflow, or whatever the case may be. Or I want to trigger automation based on something else, but I only know how to do it from forms or whatever.
Right. Yeah. So when I say I evaluate, I do my audit from the top down. I also do my training from the top down, so that there's a mirror of, this is what I found. This is what you said you want or you're looking for or your pains are. And this is where I think we should start making the pain and the usage be like the gap between much smaller. So the same thing, like, okay, you don't have these things turned on. That's great. And that's fine. You said you want to do this. This is how you do it. But you do have to turn it on first, or you do have to make sure you have access, or like you can't edit contacts, then you can't merge contacts when you got two of them. Like very, very simple things, but at the same time, start from the top.
And as the permission sets have become more robust lately, but with that can create friction. Sometimes it's good friction, but if people don't understand the friction, then that can cause issues there.
Absolutely.
What is the biggest mistake you see new users make inside of HubSpot?
Besides give everyone super admin access?
That's a fair one.
I mean, like that truly is the biggest mistake I see people make. It's like, oh, I want them to do everything. No, you don't. They don't. I'm all for equal opportunity learning and equal opportunity access. That is not what you need in your portal because not everybody does everything. And at the end of the day, you need to build out your tool to be as functional as it can be for the thing you're trying to accomplish. And that looks different for every single person, which is why there are teams, which is why there is functionality and permission sets to be able to say this team can only do this stuff because that's what they do. If you give everybody access, then now they're like, well, what if I click this button and do this thing and do this and this and this? And now this wonderful architecture that you've built out and all of these things that are tied back to that architecture, forms and lists and workflows are very easily broken by clicking one button. And I'm not saying don't give anybody access. I'm saying give the right people access, right message, right person, right time.
So a recent product update in HubSpot was being able to create new properties from the index page in HubSpot. And that update came out and, people were excited about it. And I was like, no, don't.
Please stop.
Stop. And on the morning show, Chris and George were like, it shouldn't be a problem because you should have appropriate permissions. And I was like, what a nice dream world you guys live in. Down here in the real world. But yeah, I think permissions are so important. And I think one thing that consultants can bring a lot of value to is just setting up permission sets for companies. And that's something that can live on and be used again and things like that. But it is really confusing and it's been changing a lot. And so I think, and people get added as super admins because people are like, I don't know, just take it all. Just take all the access. Like
it's just easier. It's just easier to click the one button than it is to go through the menu and say, is this what this person or this role or this function needs to do? And make sure that all of the time, effort, money, existence that you've put into creating your architecture is stable. Like you have to start going, well, I put a lot into this. I have to protect that, not from a person, but from myself. If I'm just clicking the button saying everybody can do everything, that doesn't keep the integrity of the foundation that you've created. And the foundation is everything. If you don't build the right foundation, the whole house crumbles. So you have to spend time doing that. You have to spend time making sure you've got somebody set up as a billing contact that can get notifications when your credit card doesn't work, or whoever gets the notification that you're hitting your marketing contact limit. Like that, you have to have that very foundational stuff set up, or nothing else at the end of the day matters.
Yeah. Are there any hidden gems or features that you feel like people overlook early in HubSpot?
There's so many. I feel like the HubSpot UX team has done a really good job surfacing the things that are relevant to what you're doing. So very conditional. I'm on a contact and I want to create a new property, and I click on properties, it knows I was just on contacts and it puts me into that object setting. A
Mhm.
lot of these things, it's
I like
very
that.
helpful as a human. Yeah, right? Like, oh, I don't have to think. I have to go click contacts. Okay, great. I'm in contacts. I don't have to think about it anymore.
I'm not
So,
even, like, used to it still yet. I, like, still, like, I find myself there and I'm like, "Okay, contact," I'm like, "I'm here." Oh.
yeah, magic. It just took me there. So I think that, as just as a part of the tool, is amazing. It's amazing for admins. It's amazing for consultants to be able to start using those brain cells for something else. Um, I also think it's very helpful for the end user that's actually taking advantage of what it does. So not just the setup, but the actual use of it, because then there's this logic leap in your brain that goes, "Oh, I was just here and now I'm here and it makes sense."
Mhm.
So there's a reason why form and function in design is so important, because they need to be together and they have to work together for it to be useful and for someone to want to get use out of it. So I think HubSpot is achieving that in a way that other tools that are on the market that state that they do very similar things aren't able to accomplish. And from a setup standpoint, from a builder standpoint, it makes our lives easier.
Yeah.
Easier to learn, easier to train, easier to keep up to date on.
Before we wrap up, is there a mindset or approach that's helped you succeed as a HubSpot admin?
This is going to sound totally contradictory to everything I just said. Click all the buttons. If you don't know what it does, click the button. I say that, and I want to tell you to do that in a portal that isn't necessarily connected to everything. So go make a test portal. Click all the
You
buttons.
can make a free test portal. I mean, I say this to people who want to become better at HubSpot. I'm like, "Make a free portal. Make a free one.
Exactly.
Whatever you
And
want."
then click everything. Literally, if it's clickable, click it. If it's draggable, drag it. If you can set it up, set it up. And then you will be at a point where you will be less afraid of trying something in a live portal, and you'll have more context of, okay, this is how this thing operates, and now I can start connecting the things. So
Josh
click
said,
them all.
"Learn by failing." I, totally agree with this. I usually will say that, most of the stuff I recommend is because I've messed things up.
Often. Very often. Learn from my mistakes. I learn from the experience that I've gained over the many, 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 many years of doing this. Try it. Try it. Here's some guidelines that I've learned, but try it. Just, you got to experience it for yourself.
As someone that spent hours manually deleting contacts in Salesforce, but after accidentally syncing, learn learn from me. And now, anytime I make a change to a Salesforce sync list, I make a dummy list and then look at the change.
I,
Who's on
I would
their
be curious
original
to hear
stuff.
about all of these mess ups that people have, because you know what? I've got my own shame list. Don't worry.
Um, well, I'll leave everyone with that. Any final thoughts or anything that we missed?
Yeah, lean on the community. It's there
Mhm.
for a reason.
Mhm.
It's the best resource that you can ever have. It's amazing humans that want to help other humans. Just do it. We don't bite.
Very, very I have nothing but good things to say. I was just telling a friend, last night that, I started consulting 3 years ago. It was my first time being out on my own. I haven't said this to George. So if George watches this, I messaged George at one point, tried to pitch myself to George. He ended up ghosting me, and now I talk to George every day.
George, come on.
But it's so much engagement with the community and things like that, and even in what is really a short period of time, now um, I have so many people I can lean on, including Deanna.
Always here. I may not know the answer, but I guarantee I know somebody that can help you out.
All right, that's a wrap on today's HubSpot Setup Secrets. Huge thanks to Deanna for sharing your go-to moves and behind-the-scenes thinking. If you have any tips of your own or want to be on a future stream, shoot me a DM. See you next time.
Casey, bye.